I mean, I was told by my film professor, there are films and there are movies, and sometimes you've got to know what you're walking into.
Yeah. See, but I come from a time when movies were films.
All right, so I got three very major announcements here before we go into this film. Number one is that I put some Oreos in the freezer just now. I hope it's good. I mean, I never put Oreos inside the freezer for an extended amount of time, so we'll find out. Number two is that I just won my fantasy week for the third week in a row. Very hyped about that. Got a very laughable fantasy offer just now, which I almost died of laughter because that's actually hilarious. He wanted to give me some two random players from the Dolphins, Waddle and Hill. Terrible. And then I give him Diggs. No, yeah, that's awful. That's bad. I'm never doing that in my entire life. But, you know, something very important as well is that we're talking about Joker 2019 this week, and it's going to be very fun. I haven't seen this film in a pretty long time, so I was very interested to go and revisit it, and I'm happy that I did. This film is fun. It's cool. It's very sad and depressing, also extremely controversial, and the second film's coming out this week that should really follow the same trend as the first film. And now I haven't seen Joker 2 quite yet. I'm going to be seeing it maybe on Thursday or Friday, maybe Saturday at the latest. But, you know, I've heard that it's very controversial once again. Not, I guess, in the sense of being political, but the sense that it makes very, you know, controversial changes in the script and the story. I heard the ending for the film is crazy. Not like a Dune Part 2 crazy. That's a good kind of crazy of an ending for a movie. Not like The Dark Knight, how The Dark Knight ending is so crazy. It's so crazy good. The ending for Joker 2 is apparently so crazy that it's very controversially bad or good, depending on who you are. So yeah, Joker 2 has all of the ingredients for an incredible Joker sequel, very controversial, also a musical, incredible, great cinematography. It's going to shake up audiences, and I'm all here for it. But before Joker 2, we're obviously talking about Joker 2019, and let's take a very weird trip back to 2019, that incredible year for film, but also, I guess, for this example, talking about just superhero films for a second here. Superhero films are really, I guess, at their peak at the time here. Superhero and also comic book stuff is at their highest point in their entire career of superheroing stuff. So, yeah, very cool time to be alive. Obviously, the biggest one, Avengers Endgame. That was probably one of my best theater experiences of my entire life. I love that movie. MCU, overall, I guess not the best, but still, I absolutely love it. Also, you know, there's some stinkers out there like Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker. Also, you had Spider-Man, Far From Home, not the best in the world. And even going further on here with Captain Marvel not being that good, I'd never seen Shazam and never really want to see Shazam. I don't really care about that film at all by any means. So yeah, this year was really good for superhero films, mainly with Avengers Endgame, which isn't even that good of a film, for being honest. And then also Spider-Man Far From Home, also not the best superhero film ever. But I guess at this point, was really the peak of the MCU films, and also kind of the point where it was starting to decline a little bit here. And, you know, Joker was really one of those movies that was a comic book film, but did so much more than anything else out there, which I love and respect so much. And also just the context for this year outside of the superhero stuff, maybe the greatest year for film ever. I know you can say one of the 90s years or the 70s or 60s, but this year, 2019, I mean, just starting off here, Joker, obviously we're talking about it today, very good film. Parasite, Knives Out, list goes on, Jojo Rabbit, Us from Jordan Peele, The Lighthouse from Robert Eggers, Marriage Story, I mean, Uncut Gems, I can talk about that forever. This year for film, maybe the best ever, and I'm really just... Every time I talk about this year, I mean, like Little Women as well. Oh my gosh, incredible year for film. I can never get enough of it. But yeah, this movie in this year was so incredible to really make a statement for being one of the better films of this year in a year that's so competitive. I mean, one of the, you know, worst good films of this year, even like looking at some stuff like Chernobyl, short TV series there, which, you know, wasn't the best thing ever, really was actually the best thing ever. I'm lying. Waves was also really good. Even like Godzilla 2, which was a very good movie as well, very entertaining. There's a very highly competitive market for 2019, and for any film to do even remotely okay in this year makes it a great movie. So yeah, for this movie being this good, I'm very impressed. I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's a great movie, but I think my first experience for the movie is very interesting because my first experience for the film wasn't in the theater. I was under 18. I couldn't see the movie in theaters, so I had to wait until I think like 2021 or 2022 was when I first watched this movie, and it was good, obviously. But obviously, my first experience for the movie is a little bit interesting because 2017, 2 years ago, was Justice League. If you're any idea of a DC fan or any idea of all the DC nerdy stuff going on, The original director of the Justice League movie from 2017 was Zack Snyder. They fired him mid-production. They brought on Joss Whedon. He ruined the film. That obviously birthed the Snyder Cut and also killed the DC Extended Universe. So that's why in 2021 or 2020, we got the Zack Snyder Justice League film, which was very, very good, a lot better. But we waited like 5 years for that movie. So, at the time, 2017, 2018, 2019, being any kind of DC enthusiast even was painful for me to go through. I really hated DC at this time. Especially just felt like kind of a slap in the face. I mean, seeing also in the same year we have Shazam coming out. I don't care about Shazam. Aquaman was kind of cool. But, things I really want from DC right now at the time is, hey, Man of Steel 2, you have Henry Cavill on the bench right now. And what is he doing? Absolutely nothing. That's awful. Also, The Flash. I mean, The Flash was, we already know, a absolute of a disaster of a film. And we can talk about that another day. But The Flash, I wanted a Flash film. I wanted a proper Ben Affleck Batman movie. Obviously, that happened kind of. I mean, Matt Reeves was signed on to do the original Batman with Ben Affleck. Then that obviously changed to being the Robert Pattinson movie, which is very good in its own right. And also, hey, I want a Cyborg film. I want all these super cool films. DC has maybe better characters than Marvel, yet they're doing nothing with them, which is very, very angry. It really pisses me off. So now when I saw, hey, DC isn't doing a Man of Steel 2, they're doing a random little Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Todd Phillips. It's going to be a real origin movie set in the 80s. I don't care. Why would I give any amount of a shit about a Joker origin film when I need a Man of Steel 2? I need a new Justice League film. Really fix all this entire universe. Make a new Batman film, for God's sake. I don't want a new Joker origin story. We already have Heath Ledger. Why would I care, even remotely? And obviously, I was wrong. The film's incredible. The film's great. It really does kind of break the mold of the comic book movie, quote unquote. But in reality, this movie isn't exactly a comic book film. I don't read comics, so I can't say that it's exactly inaccurate or whatever. But the movie instead really disguises itself as a comic book film to get more butts and seats, and then uses this vessel of being a comic book Joker movie to tell a very incredible story that's very relatable, very real, and also very dangerous to society, which we'll talk about in a second here. And it's very controversial, which is very good, and also, depending on who you ask, very bad. And before even diving into this film's entire, incredible geniusness of it all, in my opinion, at least this film's very genius, talking about the film's release and reception is interesting. I mean, looking at this movie's box office, I don't really like to talk about numbers like that, but still, this film's number 6 on the year. Also think about, hey, Avengers Endgame, all these incredible, incredible films coming out the same year to be number 6 and rated R. At one point, obviously the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. Thank you, Deadpool Wolverine. Yeah, this film's very impressive in numbers wise. This film had a budget of $55 million and it made $1 billion with a B, which is absolutely incredible. Incredible profit value there for Warner Brothers. I know they're very happy about that. They definitely recouped all the money they lost from Justice League, so that's very good. Then on Rotten Tomatoes, this film has a 69% critic score and an 89% audience score. Very, obviously, as you can tell, very wide margin there. Critics didn't like it so much, but the fans and also audience loved it a lot. But that's kind of flawed to say. There's no such thing as just, quote unquote, the critics. Critics aren't like a union, guild, a group that collectively decides, hey, Joker is bad and Joker 2 will also be bad. That doesn't really exist. Every single critic has their own different view. Sure, some are kind of similar, but they're not all the same. But it looks like here, according to Rotten Tomatoes, majority of critics thought it was pretty bad. So there's that. And then the fans wise, everyone kind of loved it. I also love this film. Think it's 9 out of 10. Is it the best thing ever made? No, but it's still very impressive, and I also absolutely love it. And also, is it maybe just a glorified remaster of Taxi Driver from Martin Scorsese? Yeah, it is. That's definitely not even avoidable. But still, the film is really good and does something for itself, which I absolutely respect. And a little bit of an example of people really hating on this film here. I have one review here from the Roger Ebert website. Over here is a 2 out of 4 star review from Glenn Kenny. He said that the storyline in and of itself is not a total miss, but once the movie starts lifting shots from A Clockwork Orange, you know its priorities are less entertaining and are more in generating more self-importance. And as social commentary goes, Joker is a pernicious, garbage-filled movie. Yeah, look, okay, I don't entirely agree with that. I think for social commentary, the film does a very good job. Also, I mean, the cinematography, very good. Also, hey, in art and film in general, it's okay to take inspiration. You're never going to have one original idea again ever your entire life, which is okay. Film has been around for over 100 years now at this point, so what's wrong with taking a little bit of inspiration? What's wrong with some very controversial social commentary? I love it all. Then over on Letterboxd, I have a average of 3.9 out of 5 here, which is also a little bit mixed, a little bit controversial, but I still love it. We have one review here from Alila, who gave this film a 5 out of 5 and said, "Why is everyone giving this movie such a low rating? What is wrong with you?" And I absolutely agree. Alila, thank you. I love you. Thank you for really seeing this film as for what it is. A great movie, not a bad one, like a lot of people think for some reason. And exactly where does all this extremely controversial low ratings and low opinions actually come from? Well, it's a teeny bit interesting. There's no real one place to pinpoint it. I mean, the biggest thing here is to say this film is very harmful to society. The social commentary is not good. It's just harmful propaganda. Like, yeah, sure, on one hand, I understand. Yet the other hand, I don't think that's true at all, which I'll talk about here in a second about, this film really doing a good job of showing a guy that was betrayed by society and turned into a monster, a villain that didn't need to be a villain, but yet society fueled and created him to be this monster, which is, I think, very genius. Also, maybe our fault that a guy like this can be even made. And we see all about the news, people like this exist every single day, very controversial, shooters, all this stuff happening, especially in America. So it's not exactly surprising seeing that one guy can be pushed to the edge by a very sad and horrifying mental health crisis. Okay, so what exactly happened to Joker 2019? What made it one of the most hated movies of the year and also one of the most incredibly genius and brilliant films of 2019? Well, it's not exactly just a one-worded answer. This film is incredibly iconic and also controversial and also very dense in its subject matter. So, a lot to say. It's not just a one-worded answer, which is great. But, one of the biggest highlights of this entire film is the cinematography. Cinematography here, Lawrence Sher. He didn't do a lot of crazy good films before this one. He did War Dogs, The Hangover, Hangover Part 2 and 3, which is cool, I guess. Also, some other random films out there. But Joker 2019, he really showed he has all the sauce in him. I mean, this movie's cinematography is scrumptious. I mean, the worst shot of this movie is better than all of Megalopolis, but that's kind of a low bar. But, still, cinematography is great. It's scrumptious, it's incredible, it's beautiful. Every single shot is just greatly detailed and choreographed. I love how the movie takes Arthur Fleck, puts him in really the slums of Gotham, really showing us just how dirty and gritty and nasty Gotham can be, which is great. I know in the Dark Knight trilogy thing we had there wasn't a lot of, the real dark and gritty areas of Gotham that much, or really in any DC project, which is very cool in this movie. It wasn't really until we had the Batman from 2022 really showed us, hey, this is how Gotham can really be, dark, muddy, gritty, and also Joker 2019. Both of these films are very similar in those ways. But, this movie cinematography from Lawrence Sher, it's great, it's incredible highlight, especially within the opening of the film. It is incredibly choreographed there, showing us why Arthur Fleck has every right to be a villain, and we root for him within the first minute, because he's beaten up in the opening of the film for really no reason. Yeah, he's a clown. Yeah, he's weird. I'm weird and I'm a clown too. So if you want to beat me up, I would probably join you if I wasn't me. But, still, regardless of the point here, he gets beat up for no reason in the streets of Gotham for just being himself. And that's very sad, and no one sides with him. Everyone says that he's crazy, he's an idiot. And that really, already, he's betrayed by society. No one supports him. No one cares about him. The systems of injustice puts him at really one of the lowest points in the entire city, which is what makes him so much of a character to be rooting for than actually saying he's a bad guy. Yes, he's bad, not saying that. Killed a lot of people, did a lot of bad stuff, but still, I don't hate this guy. He definitely should have done that. He deserved to do it. That sounds psychotic, but yet it's true for this movie. And there's a very long list of things that are, one, very controversial about this movie, and as I guess controversial for society in general, but relevant to the movie are a long list that I have here of things that really push Arthur over the edge of having a chance to be a real good guy, but yet not having that chance fulfilled. Yes, starting off here, there's a very long list of things that made society really betray Arthur Fleck, and one of the biggest ones here at the very top of the list, and something that's very real in real life as well, is that of mental health. And mental health, very big problem, not just through men, but I really feel like everyone. especially something that we started to notice in like 2020 lockdown. A lot of bad things that year, but also showed that mental health is a very big problem. And not just recently, throughout the past few years, I've seen mental health becoming more and more of a problem. Arthur Fleck here is a good person who has very bad mental health problems. The public works service provides him with free stuff for his mental health, yet take that all away because they don't really care about him, which is sad. It's also betrayal to him and other people like him. So yes, he's crazy, but he wasn't born crazy. I mean, I guess he was because he's a little bit mentally weird up there, but still, he had a chance to be a good guy with, I guess, enough pills and enough medication and enough of that, therapist work. He could have been a better guy, but they didn't do that. And also mirroring that in real life is that, I guess it is very harmful to say that a kid can be a school shooter, yet we say that it's a problem with his mental health. That obviously is a very hard conversation to have, but to say that films like this are causing more school shootings, more shootings in general, isn't exactly true. I mean, yeah, I get it. Joker made $1 billion at the box office, and it's also the same conversation how people say with Call of Duty and games with guns are the reason why so many shootings are happening. No, it's definitely just not that. I mean, looking at some numbers here for Call of Duty this year, Call of Duty got 166,000 concurrent players in April of this year. That can't be the common denominator. Looking at a movie, just one film franchise, that's all I'm looking at here. Looking at John Wick, over $1 billion at the box office. We're not including Netflix. We're not including any streaming services. Only in the theaters, over 1 billion people saw 4 films, only in theaters. So to say this is really the common denominator for all this violence in media, it's not true. Shooters take up most of the gaming space. Trust me, I'm a gamer. I can speak for that. Yeah, there's some cool stuff like 2K and Madden out there, but shooters take up a very large chunk of the gaming market. Also, action films. Look at all the MCU stuff, MCU especially. Don't even need to start there. $1 billion per movie with that franchise for a little bit before they fell off. So yeah, to say that this is really the common denominator, all this violence in media, it's just not true. You can't say it's a common denominator. What is the common denominator we can say is mental health. Once again, it's a very hard conversation to have in society today for some reason, but to say that this is really the common denominator, a lot of this, violence in media, we can't say it takes up a large chunk of the population. So for this being the common denominator, we'd be living in like Verdansk in Warzone right now, if that was the truth, but it's not. Another big thing is gun violence. Yes, gun violence also pretty controversial. That didn't exactly betray Arthur, but it is one of the reasons why Arthur is, I guess, hated on later in the movie. Gun violence is also controversial. Is it the gun's fault or is it the person who shot the gun's fault? Also kind of links back to mental health here. Are there good guns and bad guns? No, there's just bad people and good people. That's all there is in the world. If I put a gun on a table, it's not going to go into a very crowded area and shoot up the place. It's not going to do that. Guns are there to protect, not kill. But yet, if you put it in the hands of the wrong person, obviously bad things can happen. No one's saying that. And also, maybe the last thing that's very controversial for this movie is that of father figures in this film. Father figures like we have Thomas Wayne, who we'll talk about in a second here, and also we have Murray, the comedian on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, Murray's a pretty fun guy. I mean, yeah, it is the main guy himself, Robbie De Niro. But, seeing him in this film, he did kind of, in a sense, betray Arthur as a father figure. These are his 2 big father figures in the entire film, Thomas Wayne and also Murray. So they both are not bad people, but to Arthur, they weren't there when they had a chance to be there to really guide him on the right path. And yeah, sure, it's not their job to do that, but I guess also in society, there's a lot of men out there that are boys pretending to be men and not really doing the things that men should be doing in the world. Enough about that said, another whole conversation here. But, Murray and also Thomas Wayne, they don't really do enough for Arthur Fleck going into this movie and going out of it. Really, 2 of his biggest points in the entire film are because of these 2 guys not being better people, not really handling the situation in a good way. So all these things and a lot of other things here are things that make Arthur go on the path of being a very bad guy. But it's not until we go to the train scene here with Arthur on the train, obviously just laughing because he's a weirdo, and then the Wall Street guys are messing up with the girl on the subway. He defends himself by killing them, which it is at a point it starts to be defense, and then at another point it turns into murder. So, we can talk about that all day, but just for the sake of this episode and this conversation, he defends himself for a little bit there and really saves his own life. He was getting beat up, jumped on the subway. So yeah, it's justified for now, But looking into that, in every sense there, that is self-defense. He should be really, I guess, the hero of his own story, yet in the mainstream media, he's the villain, and also a hero to everyone in the streets who heard Thomas Wayne say that they're just animals and regular people. Yeah, that's obviously bad. On one hand, yes, he did kill them, but on the other hand, he became, in that right, a hero to people who saw that this guy is just a joker, a clown, a guy who really does struggle in the same society as me, so I should really look up to him. And that is obviously a very bad thing to do. I'm not saying you should go out and kill 3 guys in the subway and then you'll become a hero. I'm saying that in that scene, Arthur is finally seen as a person. He's never really existed. He didn't even know he existed in his own life before, and now he's seen as really a god to these people. He's seen as more of a person, and now as the Joker, a Joker for people to look up to, a real hero, a knight in shining armor. And once again, I'm not exactly looking to give Arthur any bit of, I guess, empathy in any way. He is a bad person, very mentally messed up. But for the people of Gotham, and I guess people in general, we really do yearn for having some kind of god or some kind of figure to worship. Yes, if you're Christian, it's Jesus, and other religions, other different variations of that, whatever you believe in. Or even if you're atheist. Yes, you're atheist, but you believe in science. Science is really your god. You do you, whatever. And in this movie, I mean, the people of Gotham City are living in the slums, an absolute disaster. Their leaders haven't done anything at all for them. So now they have someone who they can look up to, relate to, someone just like them who is in a situation like them but found a way to thrive and become more and stand up to the bullies of the city. Once again, very harmful to society. Looking at the current state of America, where I'm in right now, I'm recording this in October. We're living in a current state of election going to November. That's going to be annoying, whatever, who cares? Whatever you decide to vote on, you vote on that. Do your research. If you want to vote for Trump, cool. Kamala, cool. But, you know, the truth is that in politicians, they don't care about you. They don't know you. They just want more power. Just the truth of it. And they all lie and they all scam and cheat and they're all evil people. Absolute truth there. The truth is, if you're Republican, you have more in common with the Democrat standing next to you, and vice versa. If you're Democrat and you hate Trump supporters, well, guess what? Kamala doesn't know you. She may likely never will, and she has more, and you have more in common with the person standing next to you than Kamala Harris. That's the truth. So yeah, this movie inducting those kinds of themes is a problem. They need us to be divided in this world and separating us into Republican and Democrat to therefore control us. They want us to start war, start havoc, start arguing, start fighting with all these different political parties, and then what do? Kamala Harris comes in as the big savior to save the universe and save the country. And same with Donald Trump. And that's why this year I decided not to vote. I'll just sit in my house and chill with my dogs. A very fun life. But in this same universe, the same thing applies. How with Thomas Wayne, he goes on the mainstream media, news, and he really trashes the entire community of Gotham City, which is obviously a bad thing, but then again turns the entire city against him and really turns the entire city to Joker, a guy people can really believe in, a guy who's just like them, who's in the slums just like them, but decided to stand up for once. And that's what they may be afraid of. They want us to stay inside the rat race, stay inside this big hamster wheel, and not break free out of the Matrix. That's what they say, right, in the movie? Yeah, same thing applies here. That's another reason why this movie is very dangerous. It causes people to revolt and riot and rampage, which we saw a lot of in 2020, and maybe going to this year too. We maybe see a lot of as well. But that's really besides the point. What makes this film just really that much better? The whole film, I guess, in the first half isn't exactly that crazy. But yeah, as we go into the second half of the movie, also into the third act of the film, that's when this movie really gets good. Also very controversial as well. Looking at what really pushes Arthur off the edge to become Joker is one, he's betrayed by his father, quote unquote there, I'll put that in quotes. Thomas Wayne, we thought the whole film was his father. It may still be. I saw some theories that he's actually his real father, but you know, another conversation for another day. Going into, he did betray him in a way. He refused to offer him any kind of empathy and care and compassion. Instead, just pushed him along and punched him in the face, which was very sad. And then also, just like his father, quote unquote there once again, he was betrayed by his father figure, that of Murray on the talk show. Yeah, Murray doesn't really exactly know him, but still, he didn't need to be that mean to him. He could have offered him a little bit more advice. And yeah, he's more of a one-dimensional character. Doesn't really exactly matter at the end of the day. But still, very something that for this character is sad and really pushes him off to the edge. And then for the last thing, that he's betrayed by his mother in the movie. And yeah, his mother, it isn't exactly his fault exactly, but still, his mother was very mentally ill, and also she did, as a child, abuse him, beat him, tied him to a radiator, which is, geez, give the guy a break. Oh my gosh. But Arthur is betrayed by all of the key pillars to his life that really makes him function as a normal human being. His mother, his father figure, and his job, and his work, and the whole entire system of society betrays him. And then just at that last moment, you just break the straw on the camel's back, and then he succumbs to the darkness. Just by all these things breaking time and time again, really just scratching him in his back, he decides to break free, takes out of the normality of the world, and embraces the darkness and the pain, and becomes Joker, the real Joker. Which that may not even be the real Joker that we know and love. He's not Heath Ledger, but instead, Joker may just be a metaphor for succumbing to the darkness and really breaking free of society's conforming ways, which is also, once again, harmful, very painful, causes a lot of sadness and pain, but yet for the film, it works and it's dark and it's real, which is perfect. And then the third act, the real final big part of the whole movie here, where he's finally seen his final moment on stage, the one day he's been waiting for his entire life, he's finally on stage, and up until this point, you don't really know it, but in the movie, they kind of tease that he's just going to go up stage and kill himself, which is, yeah, that's a way to go out. He has nothing to live for. He doesn't have his mom or his dad, no money, no job. Really, he loses nothing by going on the Murray Show and killing himself. I guess a little bit of a statement, quote unquote, but yet he doesn't do anything. He just really does still kind of succumb to society at the end of the day and just dies, which is, a cool way to go out, but also kind of, why? Who cares? But instead, what I love about this movie is that we see him in the beginning of the film, also throughout the entire film, looking back on his quote, saying that I want my death to make more sense to my actual life, which is, yeah, the thing that really does make him drive to kill himself, but also it's the thing that makes him kill Murray, which, yes, instead of my death should make more sense to my life, instead it makes that my life should make more sense to my death. It wouldn't make sense for Joker, a guy who is really going against society, to succumb to it. Instead, a guy who goes against it and fights back and pushes on and makes his death does make a little bit more sense than his life. In a sense, it does make him even more of a figure by him going on the Murray Show and killing Murray, which is also incredibly shot scene, incredibly staged, incredible dialogue. I love that scene so much. It's absolutely perfect. But after he kills Murray, he gets arrested, and then we see him in the streets. Once again, it may be all a dream, but I don't really care. Still an incredible scene. We see society worshipping Joker, which is beautiful. Seeing him in this final moment becoming someone, becoming seen, becoming the Joker in his last final dance. It's beautiful, it's perfect, it's incredible, yet it's all in his head, which I think is good and bad. What was exactly real or fake? I think that in the movie, he did go and he did kill Murray at the Murray Show. We do see Bruce Wayne get killed by, not Bruce Wayne got killed. Bruce Wayne's parents got killed by the mugger there in the streets, was very sad. But the thing that isn't real is that I don't think that people were in the streets just praising Joker, and then he ended up in jail after that. Once again, we get Joker 2 in like 2 days here, so that may be what really happened in the film, but we don't really know. But instead, I think what makes it maybe just a little bit better than having that dream sequence be real of him in the streets being worshipped is that he's in the hospital, or I guess jail, prison right now, but yet he knows that he gave society just a little bit of a nudge. That's all he gave him. He didn't do anything exactly crazy. He just killed a talk show host on live TV, but still, he gave society just a little bit of a nudge. That's all you need. A little bit of a nudge, a little bit of a push, and then that starts a momentum in conforming and also rebelling against society. Or maybe he's just crazy and it's all in his head and he's absolutely psychotic. But that's kind of boring. But that is Joker. That's Joker 2019. It's a very controversial film. I apologize for if I offended anyone by any means. I didn't mean to. That's just the movie itself. The film itself is very controversial. It goes against society. It goes against a lot of the rules of film in general, which is, and I guess also rules of society in general, which is also very good and very bad and very controversial. So if I offended you, I apologize. I'm sorry. It wasn't my intent. But it's time for Buzz from the Backlot. What is Buzz from the Backlot, may be asking? Well, it's film fun fact. It's all the great fun facts about film and TV, or I guess the film of Joker, mainly, specifically, which is great and it's incredible. So if you want to leave now, you can leave now. My score for the film's like an A+. No, just an A for now. The A is really good. It's 90% on there. So yeah, that's my score for the film. But, if you want me to go into the best scene, the best quote, the best shot from the film, also film fun facts, I'm going into that right now.
You or a blowfish?
What? Lady, whatever you're selling, I ain't buying, yo.
Well, my name is Skylar White, yo.
I get a spot? Okay.
Okay, so starting off with this movie here, what's the best scene in the entire film is hands down the scene triumph scene. That's incredible. Him in the streets, taking the blood from his mouth and making that smile is incredible. It's perfect. It's seeing that the entire film leads to this. Maybe in his head, we don't exactly know yet, but still, it's incredible, perfect, absolute scrumptious cinematography, acting's great, etc. And my favorite quote in the movie is, "I want my death to make more sense in my life." That is really encapsulating the entire character. Also going to Joker 2. The theme here of that little one sentence there is applying to that movie as well. I haven't seen it as of right now, but that movie might be applying a lot of the more same themes from this film into that one, of legacy, of life and death, and also society. So I'm here for it, I'm excited for it, and I can't wait for it. And a different award here is the best shot in the entire movie. There's a lot of shots in this entire film. It's a very beautiful film, but yet the best shot in the entire film is the one where Joker's behind the curtain, preparing, smoking the cigarette, dancing, and getting into his real stage performance. All the poses and stuff in there is beautiful. It's perfect. I love it. That is just mwah, chef's kiss. Either that or the final shot of him in the streets with all the people around him. That's also really good, but really, best scene, I guess the best shot, in the entire movie is him behind the curtain with all the colors on there. It's great. I think you know what I'm talking about. Look it up. All right, and before I go into the MVP for the film, you probably know who it is, but still, the MVP for the movie is coming right after our Buzz from the Backlot. What is Buzz from the Backlot? It is our film fun facts here. So going into this movie is the first R-rated film to make $1 billion at the box office, costing $55 million. This is the least expensive film to gross $1 billion worldwide as well, which once again, incredible Wilt Chamberlain numbers. I love that. Another fun fact is that this is the first theatrical DC Comics film to be rated R since Watchmen 2009, which released 10 years earlier. Also, Watchmen 2009, haven't seen it in a very long time. I want to see it again. I love that movie. I guess I do love the film. Zack Snyder is a guy who gets a lot of hate. I don't like that at all. But Watchmen, I want to read the comic first and watch the movie again. All right, and for a couple more film fun facts here, we have that Joaquin Phoenix said he took the role of Joker because I wasn't sure how I felt about him. When we have all the answers, I get bored. This one really kept me guessing. And the same is going to apply to Joker 2, Joker Fully Ado. I don't know what that film is about. I know it's a musical, maybe all inside of Harley Quinn and also Joker's head, also courtroom drama kind of thing too, which is also very cool. That's very fun. But still, I don't know what this one's going to be about. I don't know what to expect. No, the ending's crazy. The film can be very controversial, so I'm all here for it. And the very last fun fact for this movie, with his nomination for this film, Todd Phillips became the first ever director to receive a Best Director nomination at the Academy Awards for a comic book film, which is, I think, all too long here. There's a lot of great comic book films that should have gotten Best Director, looking at The Dark Knight, casually, Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins, just some of the good ones to name out there. Also maybe Black Panther. Ryan Coogler doesn't miss. He hasn't stopped cooking, so Ryan Coogler should have gotten that too. But still, Todd Phillips' Joker 2018 is a great pick. And for the MVP for this movie, it is to Joaquin Phoenix. Obviously, no debate there. He is actually his first ever MVP for the Court of Cinema, which is very good. Very nice award. We'll mail it out to him. He couldn't make it. And the very last thing that I'll ask you is, should Joker 2018 should have just been a one-off movie, or should it have had a sequel? I know it is kind of late at this point, but still, Joker 2019, I think that film should have stayed alone as its own little thing, nothing else, nothing more. Yet having a sequel, it is good because it's the same director, but I don't think this film should really happen. You know, I don't know about the movie that much at all. Going to a blind here in a couple of days, but still, Joker 2019, I think should have just been its own one-off movie. Instead, I know we're getting the film in 2 days, but still, should it have just been better to have this film end on its own, or should it just have been kept on going? And now a big plus is that the director did say that he wouldn't have come back to do a sequel unless he thought it was better than the original movie. So yeah, in his opinion, this film is a better concept and also a better movie. So we'll see about it. But you know, who knows? Also, my final score for the film is a 9 out of 10. It's an A. This is very good. It's a good movie, great film. I love it. Love cinematography, the acting, the directing. Joaquin Phoenix deserved the Oscar immensely. But you know, still, Joker 2, interested. I'm also very concerned for the movie, but we'll see. All right, and that'll just about wrap it for this episode. So, hey, let me know. Are you seeing Joker 2? Will it be good? I don't know. No idea. But until next time, stay swagged out, stay cool, and as always, that's life.
Shine.